welcome back to InsideFlix. We're going to be doing our weekly box office report. It seems like John Wick surprised everyone with a big number this opening weekend. But Rich, you tell us which films made the top 5 this past weekend.
Well, like you mentioned, the number one film in America is John Wick Chapter 4 with $73.8 million. Coming in number 2 is Shazam Fury of the Gods with $9.3 million. Coming in number 3 is Scream 6 with $8.3 million. Coming in number 4 is Creed 3 with $8.1 million. And rounding out the top 5 is 65 with $3.2 million.
We got to talk about John Wick. It's record numbers. This is a franchise best opening. What's your thoughts about this? What does this say about this particular franchise?
Very successful. I mean, it's just a phenomenon. It's the biggest one yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if it survives maybe even the whole summer, which will be great.
Yeah, I don't know if I see that happening. But I mean, but the movie definitely did really, really good. I mean, this franchise is just spectacular, right? How it's just been building with each installment. The last John Wick movie, Chapter 3, opened to almost 57 million, and this has got almost a 74 million opening. That's huge. I mean, and this movie has already made worldwide, I think, how much so far? Almost 150 million worldwide. I think this is going to be the first John Wick movie to make a 500 million.
Yeah.
Wow, that'll be very good for Lionsgate.
That will make this $1 billion franchise, right? If you add them all up.
Oh yeah,
sure. Yeah. Other than that, I think Lionsgate the only franchise they're working on is the Hunger Games
I forgot about that.
So
yeah, I mean, this is comes at a great time for Lionsgate because they need this hit. What is it about this particular franchise that people are catching on? Why is it this is getting bigger and bigger?
Keanu, they see in everything that he does, that in every scene that he's putting his heart out into it, and they see that it's mostly him in doing the stunt work. And it makes a difference. It's sort of like the Tom Cruise effect. They just admire that it's doing all the work.
I think that's one element. I think that's definitely one element. One of maybe the most major one. But I also think these movies are just incredibly well made. I mean, you watch so many action movies these days that just look awful. The action is crap. I mean, like this movie, like the action is really well done. It's spectacular. Some of the best, action done in American cinema, and it's extremely well done. Like visually, the cinematography. These are beautifully made movies, and I think that really adds to it because these kind of are very cinematic action movies.
Yeah,
and I would say these kind of deserve more to be seen in theaters than Fast and the Furious movie or a Marvel movie or whatever.
And they should be celebrating because this is a great. If this is their final chapter, it's a great one to walk out from.
Well, I mean, director Chad Stahelski has said that he wants this to be the final film, and I know Lionsgate has recently said that let's not put a cork in it just yet. I think maybe there's more room for more John Wick, especially after that opening number.
I agree, and you know what? I think Chad and David Leitch need to team up again because I think there's still potential in doing the whole MCU thing and crossing over like Atomic Blonde and Nobody and John Wick. There's a bunch of characters introduced in this new John Wick film that I would love to see in future installments and other movies. Cross them over with Charlize Theron and Bob Odenkirk. They all feel like they take place in the same world.
Can this franchise be successful without John Wick? Do you think?
Well, we'll see with the spin-offs. I mean,
Ballerina.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. A huge drop, almost 70%.
Insane. When it opened so low.
Yeah.
Like, this is shocking. Like, this is a complete rejection from audiences.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because I love the first Shazam and I still haven't even seen the movie.
But you tried, but it was sold out at the time.
I did try to go see it last week and it was sold out, surprisingly.
It's so funny because there was potential. People seemed to be interested in the film, but I think after so many delays in the release, I think maybe that hurt the film. And I think at this point, it really feels like a leftover.
Do you think if the movie came out before Black Adam, it would have maybe done better?
Possibly, yeah.
I would hope so. It's shocking because the drop, it really kind of puts every comic book movie this year on a kind of alert.
Yeah. The Flash seemed like a guarantee, and it's not. It doesn't. I'm not feeling that anymore.
All right, let's now do the rest of the top 10.
Coming number 6 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Coming number 7 is Cocaine Bear. Number 8 is Jesus Revolution. Number 9 is Champions. And round out the top 10 is Avatar: The Way of Water.
Should we talk about The Good Person really quick?
Oh, that came out, right?
They came out and it opened in number 12. It didn't even,
Whoa.
It didn't even make $1 million. Does this say something about Florence Pugh's star status? She has been in a string of kind of bad box office movies.
I don't think it's so. I don't think so. Luckily, she has that MCU thing that's going to help her out a lot in the future. And plus, she just did that Puss in Boots, was those type of projects are going to keep her afloat.
Well, here's the good news about her career, because the next couple of movies she got are big movies. Oppenheimer later this year.
Mm-hmm.
She's in that?
Yeah, I don't know how big her role is in that, but she's also in Dune Part 2, which is also coming out this later this year. So those are two big profile films that she could bounce back from this.
Absolutely.
All right, now let's talk about the new releases. Rich, tell us what movies are coming out in theaters this weekend.
Opening up wide this weekend is Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, the new fantasy adventure comedy inspired by the legendary tabletop role-playing game, which stars Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, Regé-Jean Page, Sophia Lillis, and Hugh Grant. Also opening in select theaters will be His Only Son. This is the new faith-based movie, which is from the same producers of the hit show The Chosen. In limited release, 1001. Winner of the Grand Jury Prize at this year's Sundance Film Festival, dancer-turned-actress Tiana Taylor stars as a struggling single mother trying to establish a new life in New York City after abducting her 6-year-old son from the foster care system. Also opening is Space Oddity, directed by Keira Sedgwick. This is a coming-of-age dramedy about a young space-obsessed man who has decided to leave his agricultural family to pursue his lifelong dream of going on a one-way mission to Mars. It stars Kyle Allen, Alexandra Shipp, Simon Helberg, and of course, Kevin Bacon. Also in limited release is Spinning Gold, 1970s set disco drama about the life of Casablanca Records founder Neil Bogart, starring Jeremy Jordan, Jason Isaacs, Michelle Monaghan, Jason Derulo, and Dan Fogler. And finally in limited release will be Smoking Causes Coughing, a serial, absurdist superhero comedy from cult French-born filmmaker Quentin Dupieux of Rubber and Deerskin fame.
All right, now we got to talk about Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, the new high-profile fantasy film, or a fantasy comedy, really, that has a really strong cast. It's by the makers of Game Night, and those are the guys who also wrote the Spider-Man movies, Homecoming, I believe.
And the film had a lot of pre-screenings throughout the U.S., and the score, the Rotten Tomato score, is very successful right now with 91 tomato meter and 94 audience score. So, and even Raymond went to go see it. So, what are your quick thoughts on it, Raymond?
Well, I mostly went to go see it because Shazam and John Wick 4 were sold out. But I mean, I guess luckily they happened to be doing a screening of Dungeons & Dragons at that same time, at that moment. So yeah, I went to go see it. Had no interest in seeing the movie. I know people have been raving about it. I didn't care. I had no interest in watching the movie. And I mean, it was good. It's a crowd pleaser. It's not really a movie that I love personally, but the reason why I didn't love it is because it's basically a Marvel movie, and I'm kind of over the Marvel formula. I'm a bit over what Marvel's been doing, but I mean, I could tell from just seeing the way the movie played in the theater that, I mean, people are going to really love this movie. And I think if you're a fantasy fan and if you're into that kind of Disney movies and the kind of Marvel and Star Wars films that have been coming out lately, then I think this is for you, because this is kind of maybe what a lot of people wished the Willow TV show had been.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So what is your thoughts on the prediction of the opening weekend?
I don't think it's going to do well. Yeah, I don't think it's going to do that well. I'm guessing it's going to open to 25 million.
Low though.
Because I think the studio's projections of this movie was initially 30 to 35. It might go up a little bit, but I mean, that's pretty low. For a movie like this, Rich, what's your thoughts on how much this movie's going to make?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it reaches 40 million and maybe possibly even more because John Wick made 73, and that's an R-rated film.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out how it does by Friday. If it's a huge Friday opening, it'll be good. And if it does even better, closer to John Wick numbers, then look out for a sequel.
Okay, now let's talk about streaming. Rich, what can people stream this weekend?
Streaming on Apple TV Plus will be Tetris, a new 1980s set biographical drama that stars Rocket Man's Taron Egerton as a businessman trying to secure the rights to one of the most popular and most addictive video games in history, Tetris. Murder Mystery 2 will be on Netflix, the new comedy sequel that stars Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston as a married couple who get sucked into yet another criminal investigation while on vacation. And on Hulu, Rye Lane, a acclaimed British rom-com set over the course of a busy day in South London, which stars David Johnson from HBO's drama series Industry and Vivian Oparara.
All right, that about does it. Thank you for watching InsideFlix. We'll be back next week to see the results of Dungeons & Dragons, and we'll talk about the new movies coming out next week. All right, bye-bye.